Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we will review a movie called The Decline. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Enjoy. It's late at night in a Canadian city and Antoine suddenly wakes up to alert his family of an emergency. He rushes to wake his daughter up too and makes sure she remembers to follow all the steps he's taught her. They realize she's forgotten her turtle and she has to go back to grab it. The mother is already waiting in the garage with their emergency bags, and when everyone is ready, they leave in the car, being careful to make as little noise as possible. The family drives through the city, and when they finally make it to the bridge that would take them out of the island, Antoine checks his chronometer to confirm they made good time. It turns out there has never been an emergency. This was just a drill, although Antoine reminds his daughter that she always must remember to bring the turtle because during a real emergency, they wouldn't be able to go back for it. Antoine is obsessed with being capable of survival when society finally collapses and makes the family do activities like this all the time, from drills to sealing bags of food together. Their inspiration comes from Alain, a charismatic YouTuber that has lots of video tutorials on how to be self-sufficient in case the government collapses or there's a natural disaster. One day, Antoine is accepted into Alain's new multi-day training survival program in his very own isolated camp, and he has to drive all the way to rural Nord du Quebec. He meets with Alain in a special spot near the woods because he must leave his car behind and hand over his cell phone before he's taken to the property. They leave on Alain's snowmobile, but first, Alain makes Antoine wear blindfolding goggles so he won't know where his home is. After crossing through a bridge in a large open area, they finally arrive at Alain's place, which consists of about 500 acres of land. Campers Anna and David welcome Antoine, and when he enters the communal tent to leave his things, he also gets to meet Francois and Rachel. Alain reminds them of the rules which are hung on the wall and that curfew is at 10:30 p.m. Moments later, Alain brings Sebastian, the last camper, so they can finally get the training started. Alain explains this is a survivalist, temporary autonomous zone, which has always been his dream project, and he's worked on it for a decade. There are 6 panels that provide electricity, an extra generator, a chicken coop, a greenhouse, productive apple and maple trees, and lots of wild animals in the forest to hunt. From the woods, Alain keeps a series of evacuation tracks in case he's ever attacked. There's only one that will actually take you out of there. All the others are dead ends that work as traps. At the very end of the correct track, there's a container with the bare necessities, so if he's ever under attack, he can defend himself and reclaim his land. However, Alain never shows them the right path and asks the campers not to enter the woods without him because they're dangerous. Later, Alain teaches the group how to make bombs and mines since he thinks they should be able to defend themselves from mobs as well. After testing all the bombs successfully, Alain takes Sebastian to start working on dinner, and the rest of the group must put away the gear. Francois is the first one to grab a crate with bombs, but as soon as he takes a few steps, the box explodes and kills him. Rachel tries to do CPR to no avail, and Anna goes looking for Alain. Antoine panics at the sight of death, but David stares as if he was fascinated. Eventually, they take the body inside and they start discussing what to do. Most of them want to call an ambulance or the police and say it was a hunting accident, but Alain and David disagree. They're sure the cops will see the equipment and accuse them of domestic terrorism. The argument escalates and soon everyone is yelling at each other, so Alain decides to cut it short and remind everyone this is exactly the kind of emergency they're supposed to be training for. Emotions are running high, so they should go to sleep and discuss things in the morning when everyone has calmed down. When they return to their tent, Antoine, Rachel, Sebastian, and Anna discuss their options, including trying to find a way to get their phones back, while David listens to them from his bed. Suddenly, Anna hears a noise and everyone goes outside to check, although David makes sure to grab his gun first. It turns out Alain sent everyone to bed so he could take care of the body on his own, and now he's burning it in the bonfire. Anna is aghast and tries to push Alain as she insults him, causing Alain to punch her to get her off him. This is the last straw, thus Antoine, Rachel, Sebastian, and Anna return to the tent to pack their things in order to leave. David stays loyal to Alain and has his back while Alain tries to convince everyone to stay, prompting David to take out his gun and tell Alain the others were making plans against him earlier. Rachel points out that direct shooting won't be an accident anymore, and David puts down his gun, allowing them to leave. The group gets out of the tent. Alain shows up as well and shocks everyone by shooting Anna in the leg, scaring Antoine, Rachel, and Sebastian into running away. David wants to follow them, and Alain asks him to help him move Anna into the house. Anna can't stop yelling in pain, but Alain ignores her and ties her to the table before tourniqueting her wound. Meanwhile, in the forest, the trio keeps on running in the dark and they don't see Alain's snares, so Sebastian accidentally falls into one and dies. This sends a message to Alain revealing their location. Now he and David can go looking for them. Rachel also realizes this and drags Antoine off the trail, which slows down their escape. When Alan and David arrive and find Sebastian's body, they also notice the footprints Rachel and Elaine are leaving on the snow. Moments later, Rachel and Alan find another trail that takes them to Elaine's emergency storage. Combining their strength allows them to break the lock and get inside, where they find plenty of weapons, supplies, and even a GPS that can guide them out of there. At that moment, they hear the snowmobile arrive, so they hurry to hide among the trees. While Elaine and David look for them, Rachel considers shooting them, but Alan doesn't let her because it'd cross a line. Elaine discovers they took weapons from the storage, and David points out they'll need to defend themselves as well, making Elaine unsure because he doesn't want any more death on his property. However, when David mentions that if Antoine and Rachel escape, Elaine will have to say goodbye to his dream, Elaine starts to see his point. Once the men leave to search somewhere else, Antoine and Rachel keep on moving, and by the time the sun raises, they come across a frozen river. It's a huge open area that'll leave them exposed, so they'll have to be quick. Antoine goes first, and Rachel follows with a weapon out to cover him, but unfortunately she steps on a thin spot of ice that breaks under her. Rachel falls into the freezing water, which takes away her weapon and pushes her away from the hole. Desperate, Antoine begins pushing away the snow to follow her shadow and uses a knife to hit the ice until he manages to open a new hole through which he rescues Rachel. She may have only spent a few minutes underwater, but she's still about to freeze, so Antoine immediately puts her inside a sleeping bag and rubs her muscles to help her get warm. This doesn't seem to be enough, and Antoine ends up getting in the sleeping bag too in order to share body warmth. When Rachel begins feeling better, she thanks Antoine and admits she's impressed by his lack of hesitation when he had to save her. During the war, she hesitated once and lots of people died. That's why she quit. After having a snack, the duo keeps on moving and using the GPS. They manage to find the area where they left their cars. They get in Antoine's car, but when he tries to start it, they can't move. All the tires have been slashed. Antoine opens the door to check on the problem and immediately gets shot. It turns out David has been hiding here all along waiting for them. He continues to shoot at the car, trying to get Rachel, but she hides and uses a broken mirror to find David's location. Then Rachel sneaks out of the car and fires back at David, who eventually moves a little too much and gives Rachel an opening to shoot him in the leg. A furious Rachel jumps on him and begins hitting him with her gun until David's dead. Afterward, Rachel sheds some tears for Antoine before grabbing his bag with supplies plus David's weapon. By the time Elaine makes it to the parking area, Rachel is already gone. Moments later, Rachel makes it back to Elaine's house and is devastated to discover Anna's died from her wounds. Desperate for revenge, Rachel starts a fire in the greenhouse to let the smoke tell Elaine where she is. When the guy arrives, Rachel opens fire from her spot in the window and Alan immediately begins shooting back. After exchanging a few shots, Elaine decides to throw a smoke grenade to create a thick fog that allows him to enter the house without Rachel landing a hit on him. Inside, Elaine makes his way upstairs as he calls for Rachel, asking her for a truce. When he approaches the room she is in, Rachel hits him with the door, then a fierce hand-to-hand fight ensues. Elaine pushes Rachel downstairs and takes out a knife. By using precise strikes, Rachel manages to disarm him. Then Elaine responds by throwing her into the kitchen and grabbing the toaster to hit her with it before using the power cord to try to kill her. As she struggles, Rachel manages to grab a knife from the counter and stabs Elaine in the leg before grabbing him with a self-defense special move to break his arm. Now that Alan is incapacitated, Rachel drags him outside to tie him to the snowmobile with the intention to take him to the police. Elaine tries to convince her to leave him here because nobody will believe her and she'll get arrested too, but Rachel ignores him and begins driving away, determined to solve this without any more blood on her hands. Here we come to end of our video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of our video. Thanks for watching.